Mike Johnson, who is seen here celebrating finally becoming a real boy, is had a meeting with Zelensky today, and I want to see what he had to say.
Thank you all for being here. Just had a good meeting with President Zelensky. I reiterated to him that we stand with him and against Putin's brutal invasion.
We're just going to not help.
The American people stand for freedom, and they're on the right side of this fight. I have asked the White House since the day that I was handed the gavel as Speaker for clarity. We need a clear articulation of the strategy to allow Ukraine to win. And thus far, their responses have been insufficient. They have not provided us the clarity and the detail that we have requested over and over since.
A couple problems with that. One is attrition is really the only guarantee of winning. If we just dumped arms in Ukraine's hands and let them just go for broke is really the only way you can guarantee a win. The other part is that if we tell you, you'll tell the Freedom Caucus, and some of these motherfuckers have Lavrov on speed dial.
Literally 24 hours after I was handed the gavel as Speaker of the House. And so what the Biden administration seems to be asking for is billions of additional dollars with no appropriate oversight, no clear strategy to win, and none of the answers.
It's not our war, dumb fuck. We're just supporting them. And again, the only strategy that will clearly let them win is if we stop holding back purse strings in our support, period.
That I think the American people are owed. I have also made very clear from day one that our first condition on any national security supplemental spending package is about our own national security first. The border is an absolute catastrophe, and this is because of the policies of this White House and this administration.
No, it's because the wall that was built an access wall on the Mexican side of it, allowing people to traverse to the very end of it onto native land or private land and sneak around the edges of it. It also is poorly constructed slat fence that you can cut through and climb over pretty fucking easily. It creates an area where the people coming through can actually see where Customs and Border Patrol people are through the fucking fence. They don't have to crawl up to the top of it. Remember, Trump was all about, it's got to be see-through. Otherwise, people will catapult bags of drugs over the top of it, and they'll land on poor, unsuspecting Border Patrol. Like, it's going to hit them in the head like a fucking Three Stooges bit. And, of course, Title 42, which created an entire industry of border crossers.
We had 12,000 illegal crossings on one day last week alone, on Wednesday. We have...
Right, and they were caught and processed.
Almost now 280 known terrorists that have been apprehended at the border.
Oh, so you would rather they not be apprehended?
None of this counts the gotaways. If you add the numbers up, it's almost 7 million people who have been encountered at the border just since President Biden took office.
No, because again, recidivism being what it was, previous to the end of Title 42, people got to try again, which most of the people who had been, that they were seeing like the beginning of this year especially, had been caught crossing the border 5 times and rejected already.
At least 2 million gotaways. This is twice the population of my state of Louisiana.
Right. So why do you have senators? Your entire state has a third the people of Los Angeles, and yet you have 2 senators. You have 2 votes in the Senate, and you have a third the population of 1 city in California. Does that, I have to say, that seems like a misallocation of government funds.
Fentanyl is the leading cause of death for Americans age 18 to 49 in this country.
Because we've driven down every other form of death.
Fentanyl poisoning, because it's allowed over the border.
It's not allowed over the border.
We have human trafficking and all the other terrible things. In the last 3 months, October, November, December alone.
You're so close, stupid. You're gonna say we've caught a bunch of this stuff. We've seized it at the border. There's been a lot more seizures at the border.
We've had more illegal crossings at the border than in any entire year during the Obama administration.
Right. I blame the wall. But also, you do realize that's a known number.
The American people see this. They feel it acutely. They see all.
Why? Do they see it in their towns, largely? I mean, I know there have been groups of 10,000, maybe 40,000 in New York City, which is again a city of that has a city by itself that has a population 4 times the size of your goddamn state. And you're talking about 100,000 people added to a city of 7.6 million. And do you think people in New York are walking down the street going, "Is that guy Guatemalan? For fuck's sake, it's New York."
The terrible societal ills that come from this.
What would that be?
And it must be addressed. So I've made this very clear, again, from the very beginning, when I was handed the gavel.
Way back then.
We needed clarity on what we're doing in Ukraine and how we'll have proper oversight of the spending of precious taxpayer dollars of the American citizens. And we needed a transformative change at the border. Thus far, we've gotten neither. The Senate has been
Yeah, again, because your entire fucking caucus is untrustworthy.
MIA on this. The House passed H.R. 2 6 months ago, more than 6 months ago. It's been sitting and collecting dust on Chuck Schumer's desk. I have told him personally, I've told the National Security Advisor, the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Defense, that these are our conditions because these are the conditions of the American people.
No, they're not. They aren't. They are not the conditions of the American people. You have, as of now, as of the end of the year, you will have a 1-vote majority in the Senate. I mean, in the House, rather. You'll have a 1-vote majority. The overwhelming sentiment of the United States is actually, of the citizenry, is to support Ukraine. Hence, the presidency and the Senate and how narrow your margin is in the House, which is, again, a gift of redistricting. One that you, by the way, had to literally craft bullshitters to get into office. You had to run a George Santos in one of the districts just to help get that majority.
And we are resolute on that. It is not the House's issue right now. The issue is with the White House and the Senate. And I implore them to do their job because the time is urgent and we do want to do the right thing here. With that,
Why do you have to wait for them to do the right thing for you to do the right thing? Curious.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. That was it. Okay, so that's the address on it. Not surprising. Very in line with the shit McCarthy was saying. Honestly, nearly no material difference.